was put in there back when we started the jail lease, and so we used $15,000 on most of that money. So we still have $101,000 of money that I think we're going to get a little bit more billing yet for some interest payments, but not much. So we will have money left over there. And the jail lease, the 4620, that is a property tax rate. So in November, we will get more money put in there. Basically about the same. You see, we have the $105,000 in June. We will probably have that, about that amount in December too. So we will have a little bit of money, and we'll have to get some direction from the state if we can transfer that money over to help pay for the bot or whatever, if we can just transfer that over into some fund to help maintain the jail, but we'll see what that goes. Health insurance, 4710. That one we did lose a little bit of cash balance there, so we are at a little bit less than $8.7 million. Ooh, shoot, it took off on me there. There's one more I had marked here. The revolving fund, 4880, and that is the county share of the TIF from the Southeast Industrial out at the Subaru area, which we share that with the city. So we did bring in $2 million of property taxes from that TIF, and that TIF is really exploding as far as the amount of money that we were receiving. I think we estimated like about $2.25 million for the year, and so we're probably going to be getting closer to $4 million a year, and that is reflective in the 2022 budget request. I believe that is all that I had. If there's any questions.
Any questions for Bob? Hearing none, thank you, Bob. Our treasurer's report, Jennifer.
Good morning. Interest for the month of June was $64,094.89. We did clear out the Staley Credit Union account, the money that they had collected for us in property taxes upon doing the settlement. So that one is down to a minimum balance now. We have pulled probably 3 to 4 million out of investments, mainly just was sitting in cash and haven't been able to come up with any good alternatives. So we transferred that to our primary bank savings account to earn the overnight rate on that. Move it back as soon as some things open up to purchase. As far as where we are with general fund interest, definitely going to come in below budget on that one. My best guess at this point is probably, I don't know, I had 875,000, could be 700,000 would be a good guess. Just have not been able to find things to purchase for as far as investments go. Had a lot of bonds that were called, and the rates are not do not look like they're going to turn around for the second half of the year as I had hoped. So still keeping an eye on all of those things. As far as the fund distribution, the only thing I wanted to point out here is the fund 8950, the recovery money, 19 million that we have so far. The state Board of Accounts on Thursday of last week gave additional guidance saying that that did not have to retain its own interest. So we had set up its own fund to retain the interest, but it can go to the general fund now. So next month that will start to do that. And if that money was held there through the end of the year, it would be an additional $40,000 in interest, I'm estimating. But I don't know the exact plan for when distributions will start to be made. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Jennifer. Any questions for Jennifer? Hearing none, thank you again. Any public comment about any of our agenda items here before us this morning? Hearing none, I would take a motion to approve our consent agenda if there are no items that need to be removed for further consideration. That also includes our regular meeting minutes from June 8th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Vernon, a second from Councilwoman Hamilton, to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Next up, as far as additional appropriations, we have Community Corrections User Fee Fund. Would someone be willing to make a motion on that one?
I'll make a motion to accept that.
I will second that motion.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Richard, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve the user fee fund appropriation for Fund 1122 in the amount of $40,310. Discussion. Hi, Kelly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have, a couple of months ago, we were informed by Duke Energy that we had $40,000 of outstanding bills. And we've discovered that when one of the other departments turned on their electronic billing, it shut ours off, and so our bills were going somewhere else. We've since then paid that. We had the money left over from last year in 1122, our user fee account, so we're just asking to reappropriate those dollars.
Okay,
How
any
was that
questions?
not noticed
That's a
by your department?
very good question.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? That is approved. Next up, we have a salary statement, which I do have to make mention of the fact that it is a correction to one that we had approved last month. It's not a new position by any stretch. So just, it does come from user fees. So just so you're aware.
I'll make the motion to approve the salary statement 2021 for 41,285.
Second that.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilman Richard, a second from Councilwoman Dolam, to approve the salary statement for community corrections for $41,285, the corrections officer. Discussion.
When it was originally requested, the form had a 2773 split, which is part of our DOC grant, the 27%. This position is strictly for our PREA, our Prison Rape Elimination Grant, which will come out of 100% of our user fees account.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have an appropriation for the coroner.
I'll make a motion that we approve the general fund appropriation for $20,000 for body transfer.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Vernon, a second from Councilman Richard, to approve the additional appropriation for the coroner for $20,000 body transfer. Discussion.
Hi, good morning. It's not slowing down for us. We're at 298 accepted cases so far this year. Last year, we had 385. So we've almost halfway through the year met where we were last year. Unfortunately, I'm probably going to be coming back for more money for deputies and office supplies in the near future. So that's why I'm asking for this. We're running out of money for moving the bodies from the location to our morgue.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions for Carrie?
No, and I think Carrie's done a great job because she's estimating this for the rest of the year as long as we don't skyrocket again, because I think you probably have right around $10,000 left out of a $55,000 budget. So it is appropriate and needed.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kathy.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Thank you. Next up, we have an additional appropriation for the Surveyor General Fund Improvement Fund, if I can say that right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the general fund, drain improvement fund 1158 appropriation as presented.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Vernon, a second from Councilman Richard, to approve the General Drain Improvement Fund 1158 appropriation for $750,000. Discussion.
Good morning.
Good morning, Zach.
Tippecanoe County Surveyor. I'm here before you this morning requesting $750,000 be appropriated into the expense line item. I believe there's a little over $2 million in the General Drain Improvement Fund currently. I'm told that we have to put it in the expense line item so I can spend the money on many jobs. One thing that, for clarification, I want to explain for those who may not know, the General Drain Improvement Fund by Indiana Drainage Code is intended to cover basically when maintenance funds for regulated drains don't have enough money in it. So say we're doing $1,000 worth of repair work on drain R.W. Johnson in Tippecanoe County or whatever it may be. If there's only $800 in the fund, then we would borrow $200 or whatever. I said 1,200,000, whatever it was. Whatever the difference is, we'd pull it from the General Drain Improvement Fund. So that's the reason for this fund. It's that way by statute. Also, one of the things that this fund does is that when we're doing reconstruction projects, is that the reconstruction monies are fronted from this fund to pay for the job, and then there's a 5-year payback period for the landowners in the watershed only the watershed landowners, not the entire tax base in Tippecanoe County, pay for the job. Currently, we have one of the largest lineal foot tile projects that we've ever done. It's about 5 to 6 miles of tile called the Butler-Gosma, north of Mount Morenci, Shelby Township, northwest part of the county. It's actively going on. This money, not all of it, but big majority of this money will go to that. There was just, spoiler alert, there was a scrivener's error. There should have been a 1 in front of the 7. So I will be back a little later in a few months. Well, the Butler-Gosma drain is about a $1.2 million job, okay? So that's why. These projects are not cheap, trust me. I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's why I'm here, and that's what's going on, so.
Okay, any questions for Zach? Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? That is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have an additional appropriation request from the commissioners.
I'll make a
Tom.
motion that we approve the general fund appropriation for the commissioners in the amount of $5,000 for legals published.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilwoman Vernon, second from Councilman Richard, to approve the general fund additional appropriation for $5,000 legal. Tom.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
We saw some additional expenses in the past few months in relation to COVID and to the potential for the solid waste district out in the Buck Creek Americas and Colburn areas. So we have a need for additional $5,000 to get us through the rest of the year.
Okay. Any other discussion? Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That is approved. Any committee reports that we need attention this morning? Other business, obviously we have budget hearings coming soon. Anything related to that, Bob, that we need to make sure we attend to?
Yeah, yesterday I emailed the council members the budget packet. So you might want to look over that, and we're going to be getting the paper one out here soon. But one thing about the meeting for next month, we have a couple things. I don't know if Tom wants to briefly talk about one, but we have Otterman Library coming in next month, and I believe they have a bond issuance that, you know, we've done that for the Tippecanoe County Public Library, and so Otterman's doing the same sort of thing. So Judd Barris is going to be here next month to present that, so just as a little preliminary for that. But, and then we also have something with the innkeeper's tax that will be handled next month too. So we have a couple special presentations next month. But the budget hearings, you know, obviously you can see we had a lot of requests simply because of having the 6% pay increase, and that basically you can almost say that was a 2-year pay increase. So we might not be able to reach the 96% mark that we have had the last couple of years to kind of keep the cash balance the same. And you can see in the cash balance reports that the general fund cash balance in 2021 is going to go up simply because of not having the salaries increased, and we did receive more money from the CARES Act that went into the general fund than what we had ever anticipated, because we didn't know that that was going to be a reimbursement of existing salaries. But, so just look over the packet and talk to the departments when you have time to get your little meeting scheduled, and we'll get it in another month.
Okay.
Is there any update on the American Rescue Plan money and how we're going to thinking about spending that? Or
I
the
haven't
plans
been
for that?
involved in that, and Tom might be covering that too.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Okay. Any unfinished or new business that we need to attend to? Commissioner FYI.
Good morning again. First and foremost, welcome back, Jody. It's good to have you back on the council. The fair will start this Saturday at the new fairgrounds, so hope you'll all get a chance to get out there and enjoy the fair and enjoy some good food. I don't know if you're all familiar with the READY grant that was part of this year's budget. It's a program put together specifically by the governor's office, in which $500 million is going to be distributed in up to $50 million increments to different regions across the state for quality of life initiatives, workforce development issues, that type of thing. Tippecanoe County has applied, along with Benton, Carroll, Fountain, Warren, and White counties as a region, and we have received word that we received the $50,000 planning grants. In other words, we received the first step stating that they've given us money so that we can proceed with the plan, which is due on August 31st. It is going to be, that's a very tight window of time for this region to work together to get this plan submitted, but we're very, very excited about that. We will, like I said, it has to be submitted by the 31st, and then we should know a few months after that. And those meetings on that initiative begin early next week. In regard to the ARPA funds, we have attended, I had another meeting on that last Thursday with the state, in which IFA came in. They did caution us as counties to be very careful as we move forward with that, and be slow and deliberative about our decisions on our plan on this. They pointed out, first and foremost, there will be audits on this funding. Obviously, that includes the federal audit, which is very, very intense. They highly recommend that your plan consists of a narrative on how this fits in to the ARPA grant as part of that plan. So there's going to be a lot of back-end work that's going to need to be done to do that. There is a report that's due on August 31st, and they stress that maybe it's best if you not make any expenditures before that time, so that one's relatively simple, and then your first annual report is due on October 31st. So we'll likely work on doing revenue replacements between the August 31st and the October 31st dates, but be very careful and deliberate about what we're using the rest of that money for. There has been, even since we had the first release from Treasury on the directives on the 5 things that this could be used for, they've made 2 different other revisions on how those funds can be spent, and yet there's another one coming out on the 15th, which I think is Friday, I think. The Treasury is going to be issuing yet another one, and we're hoping that will wrap things up, because we're hoping it's not going to be like CARES, where it was ever changing, and it's going to be very hard to put a plan together if something's changing the entire time. So we're still working through all that, and we do need to, Kevin, you probably want to be thinking about another council member that, since Rollins gone, to fill in on the committee. And then Bob mentioned the innkeeper's tax. There will be a presentation at the next meeting. You all have sat in those meetings with Scott Walker and Michelle Brantley with GLC to talk about that initiative to continue that marketing plan. That plan, the presentation that will be done at next month's meeting will not be near as intense or as long as what you sat through previously, but that will include some letters of support from both mayors and some of our industry leaders as well to continue that initiative and its importance for the community. One other thing that the council probably has not, Kathy sits on this committee, but of that 20,000, or I'm sorry, 20% that's now going to be coming directly to the county, we would propose that $10,000 off the top be used to do audits within the innkeeper's tax. So that's going to be part of that proposal, so that would come off the top, and then the remaining would go, it's being suggested to go for the market initiative, but again, that will be discussed at the next council meeting. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment for us this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
As you know, it's been on the crime fighting front. Last week was an unusual week for us. I want to personally thank the coroner's office and Carrie Costello. She was able to assist law enforcement in our office. When a person is injured and they go to our local hospitals, when they're seriously injured, they're lifeline to Indianapolis. If they pass away in Indianapolis, that's usually the jurisdiction of that medical examiners and that coroner's office. That provides us a lot of logistic challenges because the body's there, the autopsy's there. Usually requires the detectives have to travel to Indianapolis, my office, the coroner's office. The death certificates are issued there. She was able to work out an arrangement with Marion County. I don't know how she did it, but she did it to have those bodies returned to Tippecanoe County for our coroner's office, for our doctor to do the autopsy. That means all the expense and time that it takes for those officers and those people involved, they just drive down to the coroner's office. Logistically, it also helps the families of those victims because now they don't have to deal with Marion County trying to get death certificates and other necessary information, release of information, identification of the body. So it provides the way we do things in this community, that type of comfort to the victims of the family. And we're going forward with the criminal case. It means all the people that we need to use at the trial, they're here locally. We don't have to call Marion County Coroner's Office and say, what doctor did the autopsy? What's their schedule? That doctor's booked out for 8 weeks. Call their secretary, call here, call there. The whole process is streamlined. And I just want to personally thank her. I know her office has been overwhelmed in the last year and a half. It's all local law enforcement in our office. But it's a true blessing to have someone that sees the need for increased efficiency so we can all work and continue to improve the services we provide our community. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Carrie. Any other public comment? And you can see the information about our next meeting, which has already been duly noted. Anything else to come before us this morning? I wanted to say a special thank you to see Jody back on. Welcome again. If there's nothing else, I'll take that last motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.